A New York jury delivered a split verdict regarding actor Jonathan Majors. He was convicted on 2 of the 4 counts he was facing. The jury found Majors guilty of third-degree assault, recklessly causing physical injury, and a second-degree harassment, but acquitted him on the second-degree aggravated harassment and an additional third-degree assault charge with intent to cause physical harm. Reporter Lauren Victoria Burt was in the courtroom when the verdict was read. She joins us right now. So, Lauren, first off, so many people still are surprised that this even went to a trial. These were not felony charges. They were misdemeanor charges, correct?
Right. They were misdemeanor charges. I dare say I would really love to see some statistics on whether Robert Morgenthau or Cyrus Vance, the 2 previous district attorneys in Manhattan, have brought this type of misdemeanor case involving assault to a trial. This was, of course, brought by the office of Alvin Bragg, who's the current DA in Manhattan.
So one of the charges, the jury determined that he did not intend to, it wasn't intentional for him to assault her. So explain these, again, this sort of the split verdict.
It's really sort of, I think, a little bit difficult to understand. The inside the courtroom logic and body language would tell you that the jury seemed sort of intent on giving him something. There were 4 counts. I do think certain jurors were sort of intent in giving him something because we've been sitting here for 11, 12 days in court. There was one particular juror, a white male, sort of Clark Kent type with glasses and a comb over, who was the loudest to say yes when the jury was polled after they read the verdict, after the forewoman read the verdict. And understand that the makeup of the jury, it's a 6-person jury with 2 alternates and only 1 black person of that 8-person group, a black woman, I would say in her 50s. She was probably the quietest to say yes when polled by the clerk in the court. As to whether or not she agreed with the verdict. She sort of quietly said yes. And so I thought that was sort of interesting. But I do think there was a sort of pressure there maybe to do something, give him something, and not just let him off on all counts.
This was the statement from the DA's office. At the Manhattan DA's office, we are committed to centering survivors in all of our work. The evidence presented throughout this trial illustrated a cycle of psychological and emotional abuse and escalating patterns of coercion far too common across the many intimate partner violence cases we see each and every day. Today, a jury determined that pattern of abuse and coercion culminated with Mr. Majors assaulting and harassing his girlfriend. We thank the jury for its service and the survivor for bravely telling her story despite having to relive her trauma on the stand. Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg. Now, here's what's interesting. You look at that statement there, Lauren. They talk about this pattern. During the trial, they introduced previous text messages from Jonathan Majors to her. They also, I believe, had a previous a person testify. But the other thing is that the NYPD felt there was enough there to arrest her, and they did. And they charged Grace Jabari. But the prosecution chose not to prosecute. And I talked to one attorney who said there's no doubt that if he got convicted, she would have got convicted for assaulting him.
Correct. Yeah, so she was actually arrested. That was, so of course, downplayed. I do think that part of what Alvin Bragg's office is doing is, regardless of what the evidence is, women apparently can never be wrong in any situation. So it didn't matter that Jonathan Majors is on film running away from this person. It didn't matter that we had testimony from a driver, the only person witnessing them in the car, a driver not hired by Jonathan Majors or Miss Jabari, by the way, testifying that she did everything and he did nothing. Didn't matter that we had video of course, as you're showing right now, Jonathan Majors running through Manhattan away from this person. And apparently it didn't matter that Miss Jabari was out clubbing at Lucy's nightclub at 145 Bowery Street the same night that all this happened, and then returns to Mr. Majors' residence and locks him out Didn't matter that he called the cops in fear that she might commit suicide. None of that matters, apparently. There's no evidence that matters. Doesn't also matter, I guess, to Alvin Bragg, that there was no pattern of anything. There was no pattern of abuse testified to in this case. So I have no idea what he's talking about in his statement about some pattern of abuse. I think that Alvin Bragg's office is on a political mission that has nothing to do with the actual evidence presented in this case, and actually another case which you highlighted on your show earlier in an exclusive interview. So this would, I think, represent some sort of a change in policy in the Manhattan DA's office that we did not see under Cyrus Vance or Robert Morgenthau. And that change in policy appears to be disconnected with actual evidence that is presented in court.
I've been telling you guys for months to claim this free $6,400. Anyone can get this even if you don't have a job.
Atlanta attorney John Neal joins us right now as well.